Here we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Julian, and I am going to take you guys through a runner's mobility and massage session. It's going to be only 3 sets, if you will. The first exercise is a mobility exercise paired right away with a massage, and we're going to work on the hips. The hips, the TFL, the hip flexor, and the QL are all areas that affect the low back and also the knees. So runners, after a long run, it's quite often we get very, very sore. Of course, the lower legs, the main muscles like the quads and the glutes. But here's a chance to get deep into the micro, the small, the things that affect the longer term pains where long onsets of running mileage accumulates. And that's where you kind of hit that point of too late. It's too late. So here's a chance to work on some preventative movements to help improve your back to run, your onboarding to new mileage, and overall performance so that you can enjoy your running with more efficiency, effectiveness, and also alignment and in tuneness. All right, so let's begin our first set. We're going to go into a mobilizing exercise for the adductors, the inner thighs, and we're going to smash it out with a lacrosse ball. All right, so let's do this. First exercise, you're going to go right down onto your knees. You're going to extend one leg out. All right, you can tuck or untuck the back toes. It's up to you. Here I'm in this beautiful jungle setting. In Costa Rica, Puerto Viejo. There are lots of ants and whatnot here, so if I do move and shift, just to let you know what's going on. All right, so let's start off. A lot of bugs here. We're gonna go with the leg extended out. Make sure your leg is not back or forward. It's exactly outwards from the hip. You're gonna put your hands down on all fours and keep your back in a neutral position. So it's not too much of an arch or round. Just find that middle between arching and rounding. And all you're gonna do is just push back, keep your foot flat on the floor, push back, and then pull forward, forward and back. If you wanna go a little deeper, you can go onto your forearms. That feels really good. Right away in this position, you will feel that stretch. We're gonna be here for about 30 seconds. Smooth. You can sit back and just hold it and breathe. Make sure you breathe deep. Inhale, longer exhale if you can, maybe 2 seconds inhale. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then shift forward. Just releasing that adductor, that inner thigh muscle. Good. From here, I'm going to come up onto all fours. What we can do is take it to the next level. We're going to sit back, shift back, feeling that deep stretch, making the spine neutral. Then I'm going to actually round the back and arch the back, getting my pelvis to tilt so that I can feel more fibers in that adductor. There's many parts to the adductor group. Adductor magnus, the middle part of the adductors. When there's a magnus, there's a minimus. So just keep doing some arching and rounding, some tilting of the pelvis while you're in that stretch. Nice. Sling it back. And let's switch sides. One foot out. Go as wide as you can. Keeping your legs straight. And you'll know when you're feeling this stretch that it pulls. And I do this because knee tightness is directly an effect of tight adductors. And you can feel it in the stretch. If you go really deep into it, you'll feel that adductor pulling on the inner kneecap. And that's sort of your hint. Is when you go to these mobilizing exercises, you'll feel where the pain can reside and where it comes from, where it can kind of happen over time. All right, so we're going into that shifting back and forward, spending an overall a minute or so, and I'm just shifting forward and back to get those adductors mobilized. I think of it as a strumming of the guitar strings as I shift back, strumming one end, and then as I shift forward, I strum through the others. I can come down on my forearms, making sure that back stays in that flat neutral position. I can go slow and hold, shifting back. Breathing in, 2 seconds, exhale for 4. Right on, good. Rising up from here. Let's go to some rounding and arching of the back and that tilting, posterior and anterior pelvic tilt. Just scooping through so you can feel more muscle fibers being stretched while you're in that stretch. Okay, so it's get into the stretch, then go further with some end range. We'll call it end range mobility. All right, cool. From there, your next piece, I'm gonna use the ball, but I can also use my forearm. So I'm gonna go right out into an adductor stretch sequence, massage. So I'm gonna go into this 90-90 position. What I can do is I can take my ball and I can just push and smash through along the middle part of the quad, where the quad meets the hamstring, sort of right in the middle, the adductor line, right in the middle of that inner thigh. And I'm just going to put my ball there. I can pressure down and then just small circular motions. I'm just going to spend another minute here just playing around. There are some really tender spots, so be aware that you don't press too hard. You'll know if it's too hard if your body flinches away, or of course if it's really, really painful. But you do want to ride the middle ground between discomfort and pain, more onto the discomfort side. So I have my ball here, I can do that. I can also take my forearm and I can just pressure down. I'm not using my elbow, I'm using the middle part, the edge of the forearm, okay? It's my fibula, ulnar bone. And I pressure down and I can just saw laterally, which means it's going on the horizontal of the muscle. I'm not going with the length of the muscle, I'm kind of shifting, crossing the fiber horizontally. And I'm going to focus in on the sort of the lower half of my thigh. And there's this muscle here called the teardrop muscle, okay? And what I'm going to do is I can put more pressure onto that teardrop, or VMO, vastus medialis oblique. I'm going to really massage that guy. It's very sensitive here. All right, let's switch to the other side. I'm going to use the ball first. Find out where. I don't want to put my hand on an ant hole. There's one right in front here that I didn't see. But it's okay, we play nice together. Jungles, there's so many insects around, but I'm on my safe little island of yoga mat. Alright, from here I'm going to use my forearm. Pressure in. And then just saw side to side. Oh, yeah, it's uncomfortable. You know it's the good stuff right there. That's the good stuff. Oh! Wow. Wow, there's these plants here, I'll show you. The ones that curl up when you touch, you just scrape along the middle and they just fold right in. I'll show you on camera. Really cool. I don't know the names of those, but that is really awesome. They're all around here. Okay, so we've got through our first set. Next set, we're going to go to a TFL. So the tensor fascia lata or latae is the muscle that attaches to the hip crest, and it kind of makes its way through to the greater trochanter, this big bone here. So there's a space of soft tissue between the big bone here of the leg and then the part of the hip. We're going to be moving and mobilizing and massaging that guy there because that is a or stabilizes, controls the IT band and how tension impact reverberates up the leg. And so if these guys are super tight, you're not going to get this absorption and this stabilizer, and that's going to reverberate through that muscle up into your back. Okay, so what we're going to do is give it a little bit of a break and some mobilizing so that it can do its job to help us as runners recover and run more efficiently. All right, so from here I'm going to go into a kneeling position. I'm going to tuck the tail, creating this hip flexor stretch. So it's a combination stretch. Many stretches that I do are not just isolated one muscle, they're multiple muscles. And from here, shifting forward, hip flexor feels really good here. I'm going to put my hand on my thigh. I'm just going to twist. Twist, twist, twist. So it's not this one, it's the right thigh that I can feel this. Maybe I should switch directions for you. Duh. It's not my first time at the rodeo, but it feels like it. All right, so tuck of the tail. This is lengthened, tall spine, hand on thigh. I twist and I push this hip slightly out and away. And if you relax yourself, you'll be able to really find that muscle. Notice I'm leaning away from the hip flexor and the hip behind and to the side. And that twist is going to help. Also, what we can do is I want you to dig that heel down, the front foot heel down, and then pull it towards your center line. That'll help keep your pelvis in this posterior position, which will keep that muscle exposed. So I'm pulling my ribs up off that hip, and I'm twisting, feeling that stretch through the TFL. Good. And let's switch. So now you saw it on that side, you're going to see it here. All right, so kneeling tall, it's the kneeling leg that's getting that TFL stretch. I'm going to tuck the tail, twist, lean back, lift the ribs, and then I'm going to dig my front foot heel down, maintaining that pelvic tilt. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. All right. Nice. From here, how do we get right into that space? Well, lacrosse ball. I'm gonna lie sideways. Now you don't want to massage an area or a muscle when it's contracted. You want to have it at a softened state. So I'm gonna lie sideways. And my knee is going to be slightly bent so that hip is flexed just a little bit. If it was bing straight, it would just be going over a really thick band and wouldn't really receive it. So you have to bend the knee, bend the hip, and then all I'm doing is just going to roll onto it. And you'll know when you get it. You'll hit that point. Again, it's located between the outside of the high hip bone and this bony protrusion called the greater trochanter. And all I'm going to do is just lay on it, and I can just wiggle side to side. There's a little bit of space to move around. Oh yeah. And this one's a really nice one to release, especially if you sit down a lot during the day or just sit, which we all do. This is a muscle that gets tight because it gets tired in that position all the time. All right. So what I did just there was the stretch on both sides and then the massage. So again, here's the bone, Here's the hip. There's a space right by my waistband. And again, it softens when I flex the hip. It's tight when I extend it. So I want to flex it just a little bit. All right, and then from here, I'm on my forearms. My knees are bent, stacked over. It's called the mermaid position. And all I'm just going to do is roll my hip forward and close out that hip. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is much needed. Oh, yeah. Just becoming aware of the body, breathing through, and knowing that sometimes you'll find these nice nuggets of surprise where you feel tension, and most often an area that has a lot of tension that's stored and housed will hold a lot of other things together and hold tension there. So sometimes to release one spot is like a catalyst to release others. And this is one of those hot spots that I would recommend you do almost daily. Because again, we do things daily like sitting down that are not the best for runners. But we do it because we need to rest. So it's just a balance of the two, moving and non-moving. All right, there we go. Last thing here, we're gonna get to a stretch. This is a new stretch that I found. We're gonna cross the leg. My right leg is gonna cross under. My left is gonna cross over just to pin down that knee, okay? I'm gonna flex the feet so that my knees are more protected. There's more tension there to support it rather than being super lax. Okay, it kind of grasps it and holds the knees and the joints a little firmer together. And from here, I'm just gonna do a side bend and reach. This is one of my new favorites. So if my bottom leg, right knee, right hip is down, I'm gonna lean over to the left. I'm just gonna let the weight of my arm, my head, my upper torso, let that pull the weight over to one side, and then the pin of the top knee to press that bottom leg down. This is a beautiful stretch along my TFL, my obliques, and then if I just turn slightly down, oh yeah, then I can get my QL, quadratus lumborum, which is another muscle that runners really need to take care of, which is kind of where we're going at right now. Just holding it, breathing again, 2 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Yeah. All right, and let's go right into the area. So I'm going to take that lacrosse ball and then lie down. And again, the QL is right above the hip, sort of below the ribs. There's that empty space where you probably think your kidneys are. Kidneys are a little bit higher in, but it's that empty space of soft tissue between the ribs, just above the hips. So I'm going to take that ball and just lie down on it. All right, and from here, if I want to feel it more, I'm going to bend my knee, hug it in. Oh yeah, and it really feels like someone's punching you through the sides. And we breathe through, just some steady pressure. Oh my goodness. Oh, try to let it dig in, groove or crater into your lower back region, and then in towards the spine. Nice deep breaths, longer exhale. That's nice. Oh, I can move it just a little. All right. Already when I kind of take that pressure off, it feels so good. It feels like I've got this big amount of space now to move. Okay, let's switch sides. I'm going to take my left knee and thigh, put it underneath, and then put my right foot, cross it over. Yeah, it might be a little challenging for some of you guys. So what I could do and suggest is sit on a yoga block to elevate your bum so that there's a little more room to move around with. And from here, oh, yeah. I'm gonna hold on to my leg. Oh my goodness. I need this. And when you're in these mobility or stretch positions, to make it a mobility exercise, you actually move around, creating some space for the joint to breathe and the muscle fibers to depressurize. And again, flickering through like that visual of a guitar string. You kind of just lean over to one side, that's one guitar string, but as you start to introduce movement, maybe like a rotation, you'll start to feel it flicker other strings, guitar strings or muscle fibers. So I'm just opening up the body. I can place my bottom hand anywhere I want to create a little more stability. The more points on the ground you might have, the more range, the more support, therefore more options. Feels really good to just round. That's a beautiful stretch. Okay, I don't know what to name it, but I guess you can say TFL QL stretch. And let's get to our last little bit here. Ball right on the QL, quadratus lumborum. Oh! And I can just lie down like this, or I can hug the knee, round my back, and then lean outside. Wait. Oh my God. And breathing in. Wow, I just had a release of my spine. My lower back just cracked. That was good. And just lie back on it. Just let your body melt into it. Let it crater into the muscle. Just needs that high level of pressure. It's a trigger point. And when you start to breathe, things vasoconstrict and dilate. Muscles start to submit and surrender. They just realize, oh, I don't need to hold myself in such tension. This thing is pushing me out and unknotting, and that circulatory system is taking over, and that breath work will help you restore the nutrients so that you can relax and shift systems, going from that stressed fight or flight state to that relaxed parasympathetic state of calm and regeneration. Right, good. Off. And that is it, my friends. We hit 3 sets, mobility, then massage. This was a hip specific mobility sequence that will help you with lower back tightness, stiffness, hip tightness, stiffness, and also knee potential pain or prevention. So continue doing this. I would recommend you spend about 1 minute to 2 minutes per stretch, and then a follow-up 1 minute to 2 minutes of massage. You take your time with it. Just one set through is really, really good. But yeah, add this as a complement to your post runs. Your post long runs would be great. You can also do this stuff, the massage stuff, on the daily. You can even do the massages before you head out for your runs. All right? Thank you so much. I wish you best of luck on the next videos ahead. Peace out. Jai ho. Namaste. May the force be with you.